Hello from Global Strategy. My name is Joshua Weiger and I work with projects and donor relations. In just a minute, I'm going to share with you a conversation with one of our project managers or missionaries who serve overseas. But first, I want to tell you why. 2020 has been filled with all kinds of loss and disruption. As we find ourselves in the last 2 months of the year, we wanted to share with you a chance to finish 2020 strong. We checked in with our local project leaders and we have 14 projects that need a little help to get over the finish line. These projects all fit into 4 categories: education projects, entrepreneurial endeavors, church cultivation, and compassion ministries. We have a unique opportunity before the end of the year to maximize a $50,000 match. This means any gifts toward our year-end Finish Strong campaign will be doubled. For more information on our campaign or the match, please visit childglobal.org/finishstrong. Well, thank you, Larry and LeAnn Sellers, for your time today. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. You guys are always so bright and vibrant, and it's so obvious your heart for the people you're working with every time we talk together. And so even over Zoom, I'm glad we were able to do this and record this to share with potential partners for our year-end campaign later this month. So thank you again for your time. Larry and LeAnn, where do you guys serve? And tell us a little bit about, what's going on right now.
Well, we are in our 25th year as missionaries in Cote d'Ivoire in West Africa. And we live in the city of Yamoussoukro. We're out on our veranda right now and enjoying nice warm weather here in the tropics.
I think we're all very jealous. I'm just saying, it looks pretty warm and toasty. I love that.
But it's not too toasty. It's just
good. That's right.
We get used to it, but it's nice, and we enjoy serving here and serving with the National Church that we have been working with for all those years, seeing it grow up from a very small church and young believers to today we have an older generation of believers capably leading the church, and a younger generation of young leaders coming up into leadership and assisting in those and bringing in a new caliber of leadership who have grown up into the church. And so we're excited to see that transferal of responsibility from older to younger, and some exciting new things happening in the leadership of the church. And so that's kind of our main role, is leadership training, and assisting the national church in becoming more and more self-sufficient and self-directing and doing what the church should be doing on its own, whether we as missionaries are here or not.
That's so good. Now, you guys have only been back in country for a short time. How long have you been there this time?
we've been back just about 2 months, and it's so exciting. It's so exciting to see what has happened in our time that we were in the States on home assignment. And we are so grateful to see how the church is growing and how even in the midst of COVID, they just have continued on and continue working. They don't just stop. They've just continued on. And we're very thankful for what has happened in the time that we were in the States.
We've privileged to see baptisms and weddings and funerals going on. The church continuing to minister to people's needs on a corporate level and on an individual level as well. Although COVID has affected that somewhat, church attendance has been down somewhat, and giving has certainly been down. But the church is continuing on in the face of those challenges to minister to people's needs, and for that we're very grateful and thankful.
You guys have a lot going. I mean, we have a number of projects with you, and we're so thankful to be able to do that. Tell us, we highlighted the LOC Polo project last year during year end. Would you just give us an update on what's going on with LOC Polo, and then tell us why the year end was important? The year end campaign was important for that.
Well, that really gave us a boost for this new project in the north, which was designated to try to help the national church become more and more self-sufficient, bringing in internal income that would help the church to carry out ministry in the future. And with the over $50,000 that was brought in just at the year-end campaign last year, those funds have already been partially used to drill a well on that property that is already serving the community. and to raise a water tower to provide long-term water supply for that property and the community. And the next phase that will begin soon is to build 16 small shops that will be rented out to local merchants, and the rent from those shops then will provide some income for the national church. And then other projects on that property will include a retreat center with a dorm and meeting area and cafe, like a dining hall area, and some agricultural projects, and it has plenty of room to develop other projects as well.
One of the things that they really wanted to happen, and one of the things that they're looking at happening on that property, is a literacy program. And we're very excited about that, because that just really speaks into the community so that they know that they are important and that they can continue growing as a community, knowing that they know how to read and write and that they can continue on, and knowing God's word as well, because we're hoping that they will be a part of that congregation that starts there.
It was actually the village chief that asked for this literacy center to be on that property. And so we're excited that they see a connection with us. There are no other evangelical churches in this village on the edge of the city of Corogo. And so we're also looking to see a church planted on that property as well that will serve that community.
This is such a great example of why we do projects the way we do with Global Strategy. I love the LOC Polo project because it started with a need based in the community. And then we asked, how are we able to walk alongside the local church globally, which happens to be right here on my video as our tagline for Global Strategy. It's just such a great example. And it meets all of our project values as far as sustainability and accountability and empowerment of the local leaders there. So I'm just so excited about that. Tell me a little bit more. We were just blown away during year end, and you talked about it just a second ago, how well your supporters came around the project. Like, how did you experience that during the year end? I mean, it was so encouraging to you guys, but how did the church respond?
Well, we were really overwhelmed, and I think the church here was definitely overwhelmed, because this is the first project that I'd say the church is really fully engaged in from the very beginning. With the project manager is our national superintendent, Pastor Yeo. The funds go directly to the national church's account and are managed by them, with us as missionaries kind of overseeing and helping them in that process as well. But it's really been great to help the church see their connection with the giving church, the supporters in the States, and how they can do that. And also see that as a stepping stone for the church to become more and more self-sufficient as well. Someday we hope that means the church in Cote d'Ivoire will be helping other churches as well as a result. Well, that may be a few years away, but we know it's in the process. They're already trying to do that in our neighboring country, Burkina Faso. And so that's exciting to us to see that they sense that connection and that responsibility to give back the blessings that they have received to help others as well.
So good, so good. So the project that we're trying to help finish in Cote d'Ivoire is the National Church Ministries project. Would you tell us a little bit about what that supports and how that's played out over the last couple of years?
Sure, that's one that we've had for several years in various positions and functions, but primarily it's to provide some support for the national leadership of the church to be able to carry out its ministries. A large part of its budget is supported through local churches giving here in Cote d'Ivoire, but because our churches are still fairly small and poor, it doesn't cover everything that they would like to do and need to carry out. And so these funds help in carrying out big events like General Assembly, assisting with a National Youth Convention, some regional roundtable meetings, helping cover expenses for regular meetings of the Executive Committee and the National Leadership Council, and then supporting individual needs as needed, such as pastors who are not being received adequate supported adequately and that type of thing.
There was also a part of that that has come in that has been there to help when there have been people who are very sick and the church might not have sufficient funds to help them. And that has been an extremely helpful thing with widows and with children whose parents may have been lost due to different issues that have happened in their lives. And so that has just been extremely helpful. And we are so thankful for those funds. They have just been wonderful.
So good.
One project that we hope to see funded through this, but it hasn't been up to this point, is to help primarily the National Youth Association here plant a new church in the second largest city of Boaké, which is about an hour north of where we are in Yamoussoukro. Boaké is a big city, close to 1 million people, and yet we have no churches there of the Church of God. And so it's been the vision of the youth who held their youth convention there about 2 years ago to help plant a church, primarily youth-led, because Boaké is a city where there's universities, there's a lot of schools, a lot of our young people go there from other cities to go to school, and they don't have a church to attend. And so it's been the burden of the youth and the National Executive Committee to plant a church in Boaké. And so if we can come up with sufficient funds to help that, that there's already some people on the ground. There's a small group that has been meeting on their own, and we hope to see this help them to really get started in planting a new church plant in the city of Boaké in the next year.
That's so good. So we're hoping this year-end project, which there's matching funds available for, will be enough to finish out 14 of our projects with Global Strategy, the National Church Ministries being one of those projects. And this will really be seed money for the next couple years, if I'm understanding correctly, until LOC Polo can get underway and really start funding those ministries themselves. So we're excited, Larry and LeAnn, of the work you're doing. We're so proud of you in a way that we're able to walk together to walk alongside the church there in Cote d'Ivoire. And so thank you so much for your heart. Is there anything else you want to share with people who might consider giving?
We just want to say thank you so much for last year, for the LOC Polo. We are so grateful. We just had no idea that people would be so willing to help us, and we were overwhelmed. And so we were excited about the year-end project last year, and we are just looking forward to seeing what God's going to do in this next time, during this next end of the year.
So we just want to say thank you again, as she said, for the strong support that we have received as missionaries, but also for supporting the church here in these projects to help the church carry out its ministry in more diverse ways as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you.